Save me, O God, by thy name, and judge me by thy strength. Hear my prayer, O God, give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers are risen up against me, and oppressors seek after my soul. They have not set God before them, Selah. Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul. He shall reward evil unto mine enemies, cut them off in thy truth. I will freely sacrifice unto thee. I will praise thy name, O Lord, for its good. For he hath delivered me out of all trouble, and my eye hath seen his desire upon mine enemies. Selah at verse warns the reader that although all appears to be individual and personal in the psalm, there is a direct doctrinal application to the persecuted remnant that will be saved at the end of the tribulation. See Joel chapter 2 verse 32. Save me by thy name, because the name which is above every name, Philippians chapter 2 verse 9, means Jehovah. Jehovah saves, Jesus. A strong judgment by thy strength will be a right judgment, an effective judgment, and a permanent judgment. Hear my prayer, O God, is certainly the desire of every saint in time of need, but could he pray at the same time every day? Give ear to the words of my mouth. God would hear much more than petitions if he gave ear to every idle word that men shall speak. Matthew chapter 12 verse 36. Strangers, oppressors. The first word is the one used throughout the Old Testament for Auslanders, outlandish people, the Gentiles. From a practical standpoint, one may say that every child of God on this earth, especially those who are doing anything for the Lord, has oppressors and strangers that rise up against them. And this opposition is going on all the time, whether the child of God is aware of it or not. The Lord is with me, verse 4. God honors the Gentiles in the tribulation who feed and visit his people. See Matthew chapter 25 verses 31 to 46. Verse 5 describes what happens to the Antichrist and his hosts of followers at the end of the tribulation. I will freely sacrifice unto thee, matches Psalm 51:19, which see, there is no way any Israelite can freely sacrifice the required offerings after the middle of Daniel's 70th week, Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. For the man of sin is in the temple, sitting on the mercy seat, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4. The proper sacrifices are resumed in Ezekiel chapters 42 to 44 after the Lord returns. Inspirationally speaking, God's truth, verse 5, cuts. See Hebrews chapter 4 verses 12 to 13. Note that good is not a title of God, but an attribute, verse 6. Thus the term reverend in Psalm 111 verse 9 is not a title, but an attribute. It's no more blasphemous to call someone reverend than it's good. Verse 7 is self-explanatory. It's primarily the saved Jew at the end of the tribulation, although it can have spiritual application to any deliverance that any saint has received from a deadly enemy.